Nick Mullen here with another video. In this one, I'm going to talk about what to optimize your Facebook ads for. And the reason I'm making this video is because this is a big point of confusion for a lot of marketers, because they get conflicting advice from different mentors or different sources of information where, let's say you have a Shopify store that you're running ads for. Some people say, it's better to optimize for purchase. Some say it's better to optimize for add to cart, right? If you're running an opt-in or an application funnel or a call funnel where you have a opt-in and then you have like an application and a call booking with Calendly or something. Some people will say optimize for opt-ins, optimize for leads, whereas some people will say, well, you should optimize for getting booked calls, right? And what I mean by optimize, let me see here. What I mean by optimize is the actual standard event that you are optimizing for in your ad set. So I'm going to go to ad account here. And essentially what I mean when I say optimize is when you're creating a campaign and you're creating your conversion campaign, and let's say you go all the way to your ad set level, and let's say you're going through here and you're in your ad set level, you have the option to select a conversion event. And you want to select this conversion event based on whatever you want to have occur. Okay, so I'm going to use the example of a call funnel with an opt-in. Okay, these are the different steps of your funnel. So page one, right? Someone sees your video ad or whatever on Facebook, and they are sent directly to your opt-in page. All right, great handwriting, where they have the ability to choose whether they want to opt in to watch your VSL or not. Right? They can either leave or they can watch, right? Now, this is the point at which they become a lead, right? Because you're going to have your lead event fire on your VSL page, right? Signifying that someone has opted in successfully, right? That is the point at which someone becomes a lead. Now, after your VSL, you're going to have people book a call if you're selling like a $5,000 program or something like that, right? You're going to have them book an appointment or a demo or something like that, okay? Or a call, whatever you want to call it. They're going to book a call on the next page, right? Where after, if they do book a call successfully, they'll be sent to a thank you page or a confirmation page, whatever you want to call it, signifying that they have booked a call. At this point, they are considered someone who has scheduled a call. Okay? The standard event for a call typically is either going to be schedule, which is what you see here. It's typically going to be either schedule, or you can also use complete registration. Both of those work well for the actual call event, the call conversion event, right? So when someone hits the thank you page, they're either going to be considered a schedule event or a complete registration event. Okay, so the ultimate question here is, which one do we want to optimize the campaign for? Do we want to optimize for lead, or do we want to optimize for schedule? Okay, do we want to optimize for the lead event, or do we want to optimize for the call? And the answer is it depends. And I'm sure you wanted to hear that. Look, here's the deal. the way Facebook's essentially a prediction machine. So the way Facebook works is when you're targeting a group of people, let's say you're targeting people who are interested in, digital marketing. I'm not going to write that out. Let's say you're targeting people that are interested in digital marketing, okay? Just as like a general interest that you're targeting. Or let's say you're targeting 1% lookalike audience for buyers, right? That's a great example. When you target that audience, what Facebook's doing is Facebook is identifying this pool of people that you're targeting, right? Let's say it has 5 million people in this audience. Facebook's only going to show your ads, your campaign, to a very specific people within this pool of people. Okay, and the reason Facebook does that is because Facebook wants to look at all the people who are in this pool, who are in this audience, and Facebook only wants to show your campaign to people who are likely to take the action that you chose that you want to have occur, right? So this is why if you, let's say you have a call funnel and you want to get booked appointments on your calendar or your sales team's calendar, what you're going to likely see is if you optimize for lead, right? If you optimize for the lead event, or in layman's terms, if you optimize for the opt-in, then what's going to happen is you're going to get a higher quantity of leads and you're going to get a lower quantity of scheduled calls within a certain time frame, right? And the reason for that is because when you tell Facebook, hey, Facebook, I want you to optimize for leads, Facebook goes, okay, let me go try to find people in this audience who are most likely to opt into your VSL, right? And so Facebook goes and hunts essentially for people who are likely to opt in. Now, same thing happens when you go and you optimize for your call, right? Let's say you optimize for schedule, right? Which is essentially them landing on your thank you page, your call confirmation page. When you tell Facebook, hey, Facebook, I want you to optimize this campaign for booked calls, Facebook goes, okay, let me go find people who are likely to become booked calls based on their characteristics, based on their recent activity on Facebook, based on all these different data points that Facebook has on these people, okay? Now, once Facebook sees, okay, these people are booking calls, Facebook starts to iterate and goes to find more people within this audience pool who are likely to take the same action. Okay, so it's a feedback loop, right? When you're optimizing for leads, when Facebook sees you're getting leads, Facebook goes, oh, these are the type of people that are opting in. Let me go find more people who are likely to do the same thing. But when you're optimizing for booked calls, Facebook's doing the same thing, but instead of for leads, Facebook's doing it for booked calls. So Facebook's only gonna go find more people that are similar to the people who are booking calls. So you're naturally gonna be like, Nick, if that's the case, then why the hell would I ever optimize for leads? Why wouldn't I just always optimize for scheduled calls? And again, like I said, it depends because there's pros and cons to both, right? Now, if you optimize for leads or opt-ins, what you're doing is obviously you're going to have way more opt-ins than you are booked calls, right? Because it's higher up in the funnel. It's less work for people to give you their name and their email and opt in to watch your VSL. It's a lot more quote unquote work for them to actually watch the VSL, go to the call booking page, and actually put in their information and book a time on your calendar. So essentially you're going to get much less quantity of booked calls, and you're going to get a much higher quantity of leads. Now, since a lead is a less quality, it's a different type of person than the person that's going to book a call today. It's going to take longer for you to convert people if you're optimizing for leads, right? So if we look at it from a pro and con standpoint, if we are optimizing for, let me see if I can do this. If we optimize for leads, make a little T-chart here. Optimize for leads versus booked calls, right? There's pros and cons that I want you to become aware of. The pros of optimizing for booked calls is that you're going to get people booking calls faster. Okay, faster. Okay. If you book calls with leads, or if you're optimizing for leads, it's gonna take longer. It's gonna take longer or slower to turn those people into booked calls and then close them on Zoom or on your sales calls. Okay, because you have to understand, if you're optimizing for booked calls, you're telling Facebook, I only want you to show this to people that are highly likely to book calls, right? So you're gonna get a smaller quantity overall of events being fired back to Facebook, right? So if you're optimizing for leads, okay, you're basically saying it's easier to show Facebook what's working and what's not working, right? Because if I come in here and I optimize for leads, essentially whenever someone opts in to watch my VSL, whenever someone becomes a lead, Facebook that event is being fired back to Facebook, right? In this result column here. And Facebook's going to be able to optimize around people that are going to opt in, right? But you don't necessarily want opt-ins, right? You want booked calls, right? This is the dilemma, okay? Long story short, when you optimize for leads, these people are going to be much more likely to opt in. So you're going to get a bunch of opt-ins. However, it's going to take longer to get people to book calls because these people are not necessarily the most ideal people to book a call within a 7-day time frame. Okay? When you optimize for booked calls, Facebook's going to find people who are likely to book a call as soon as possible. Okay, so you might see, okay, we might get a better ROI within 7 days or within 14 days if we optimize for booked calls. However, what you might find is that if you have a good follow-up emails, if you have good case study content, if you have good case studies in your follow-up emails, if you do a lot of social media content that people will see after they become a lead, right? You might find that even though it takes longer for you to get booked appointments and to get sales when you're optimizing for leads, what you'll find is this campaign performance is going to be much more consistent because you're consistently getting data back to that campaign, which gives Facebook the idea that, oh, this campaign's working. Right? Because you're going to get a bunch of leads when you might only get like 2 calls per day in comparison. Okay? And what you might find is that in a 90-day time frame, you might just find that optimizing for leads is actually more profitable if you have good nurturing of your leads, if you have good follow-up, if your sales team reaches out to people, if you have a lot of social media content, if your case studies are really strong, right? Even though you're only optimizing for people that just want to give you their name and phone number, they will find out sooner or later that your program or your offer is the shit if it indeed is really, really great. Okay? So, the ultimate answer to this question of should I optimize for leads or should I optimize for booked calls is test both and judge it on a 90-day time frame. Okay? So if after 90 days you see that the campaign optimized for booked calls has generated you a 5-to-1 ROI, and your campaign optimized for leads has generated you a 4-to-1 ROI, then you know that it's better to optimize for booked calls. Now, there's one thing that I will bring to your attention. If you indeed test both and they both work, but you just see that optimizing for booked calls gets you a 500% return, right? Just because that's true, that does not necessarily mean that you should not also optimize for leads. Okay, this is a concept called cyclic campaigns. Okay, and I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I'll talk about it real quick. Cyclic campaigns. Okay, a cyclic campaign is basically a set of campaigns that are identical, the same exact landing page, the same exact audiences, the same exact ads, same exact ad copy, creative, everything. The only difference is what you're optimizing for, right? So logically, if your campaign that's optimized for booked calls is getting you a better return, you're gonna do that, right? You're going to run your campaign optimizing for booked calls. But what you can do if you also know that this campaign is going to get you a 400% ROI is you're going to run that campaign. You're going to run that call booking campaign. Okay. Just pretend that I'm looking at the ads manager. Okay. This is the campaign that is your call booking campaign. You're going to duplicate this campaign once it's profitable. Okay, you're going to create another campaign in your ads manager. You're not going to change anything other than what you're optimizing for. The only thing you're going to change when you, let's say this is the duplicated, this is the new campaign that you, from the one you duplicated. The only thing you're going to change, right, is the conversion event. So if the original one was schedule because you were optimizing for booked calls, you're going to now you're going to duplicate your campaign, and the only thing, the absolute only thing you're going to change is you're going to change the conversion event to lead. And what you're going to find is you're going to get a higher quantity of leads. Your cost per lead is going to be lower, okay? And you're going to get less booked calls within a 7-day time frame, okay? And your click-through rate and your CPM might be different, but it doesn't matter. All you want to look for is this campaign profitable? And if it is, leave it on. Okay? So, long story short, it depends which one you should optimize for. Test both. If they both work, run both. Right? Because you don't want to turn things off that are doing well. Right? If they both work, do both and make more money. Okay? So, hope this was helpful. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Peace.